And take two. We are back. Sorry about that. Lost the connection to Ustream. Okay, back for the second version of Taxi TV on this fine Monday. Yay! All right, hopefully we will stay on the air. Don't know why we lost it. Matt, if you can let the other people on the staff know not to do anything that's going to suck a lot of bandwidth, that may help. Anyway, I'm back, and hopefully you guys are seeing me now. I'm looking at the chat room, audio, no video. I've got full bandwidth. That's weird, audio only. Very, very strange. My camera's lit up. Amanda says she's getting them both. Just refresh your browser. Okay. Anyway, I'm glad to be back. Sorry about that glitch. Sometimes this stuff happens when you're broadcasting live. Anyway, worked all weekend on road rally stuff. It's coming up the weekend of November 5th through the 8th in Los Angeles. People always ask the question, should I stay at the Road Rally Hotel or should I stay at a Motel 6 or whatever is down the street and save a few bucks? And anybody who's been to a road rally will tell you, stay at the hotel. The rooms are generally like 125, 130 bucks a night. Really nice hotel. And well worth it, because you know what? When you're staying down the road, you don't have any chance of bumping into like a music supervisor or a production music library owner in the elevator at night, or running upstairs to change clothes or grab an instrument or whatever. Definitely worth staying at the hotel. And if it's unaffordable, then go to forums with an S, forums.taxi.com, and see if you can dig up a roommate, somebody to split the cost with. Jim Carvalho says, stay at the hotel, it's worth it. Yes, it is. Okay. Jazz Stan says, or take a nap. That's true too, because you will be staying up late. Anyway, so like I was saying before I got so rudely cut off by the internet, we will be sending out the official announcement with a link to register to get your 2 free tickets if you're a Taxi member, so you can come and bring a guest, and you can also click a link that will take you to reserve your room. Last several years, I think most years, we run out of rooms a couple weeks before the road rally. So reserve your room early, because it gets pretty hectic around here with people going, I just called the hotel, they're out of rooms. Even though Michelle Lockie says La Quinta is scary. That meaning another hotel down the block. I've never stayed there, so I wouldn't know. But anyway, the road rally is awesome, and I've already been working hard to come up with good things to do for panels, and we're working on classes. And we're excited. It's a very stressful time of year for yours truly, but we pull it off every year, and every year people say it gets better than the last. So, yay. Okay, so let's listen to a couple pieces of music, and then we will take it from there. All right, the first thing we're going to listen to is an instrumental, and it's called Que La A, or What the Hey is the translation. Let's have a listen. Volume is up. We're good to go. It's an instrumental. That was I'm not sure if it's KLA A or Kayla A. Translates to what the hey or what the heck. That was a nice piece. I liked it. You know what points up a good thing, and that is people sometimes ask, what's the difference between an instrumental and an instrumental cue? Well, an instrumental is generally structured more like a song, and that was clearly structured more like a song. And did you notice that the melody, both in the nylon string guitar and the electric lead guitar, that they both played a melody that you could easily hear would be the melody for a vocal if it had a vocal. So this would get used. The guitar parts, they're certainly incredibly well executed, great playing on that, but might be a little too busy. Let's say, remember the movie Romancing the Stone with Michael Douglas and I can't remember her name now. Anyway, very pretty lady, not Sharon Stone, somebody of that era. And there was a scene where they were dancing at some outdoor venue in Cartagena, Colombia, I believe. This would be great for something like that. But if they did, like a cutaway to an intimate conversation that was taking place while they're dancing, the soloing might get in the way of the dialogue. If the scene were just strictly dancing and no dialogue, the guitar parts would be absolutely fine. Kathleen Turner, thank you, Juliet. And Alex and anybody else who said that. Yes, Kathleen Turner. So it's really, really good. Love the electric guitar sound, very Carlos Santana-esque. Let's see, what else did I write down? Great guitar, got that. Oh, I think there might have been congos in the track, but if they were in there, they were so low that I really couldn't hear them. I was straining a couple times and went, I think that's a conga. Not sure, but if they were in there, in fact, they could be a little louder. Also, I would add timbales. Anytime that you can add another layer of humanity, in this case percussion, put some timbale turns in there. Not necessarily the stick on the side of the timbales keeping time, but some turnarounds on timbale might work really, really well to further add to the human factor. That's it. That's all I had. Did you guys like it as well? Romancing the Stone was the movie. Nice triplet in the solos, yep. All right, cool. People liked it. Getting some +1s in there, which for those of you who are new to the show, +1 is essentially a thumbs up. So really good job on that. And now we are going to move on to a song which has the word rock in front of it in parentheses. I'm assuming that means it's rock, not that the title is rock. And it is called I'm Not Innocent. Let's have a listen. That was I'm Not Innocent. I wish that I had a lyric sheet for that because I really couldn't understand a lot of the lyrics. Anyway, it's overall pretty darn good. It was the mix. The mix was problematic for me. The song, not bad. The attitude in the vocal, really cool. The attitude, overall attitude of the song, absolutely workable. The playing on it was really good, but the mix just sounded very thick. I'm having a hard time. Like at times I could hear the drums, especially like on snare turns and stuff, but it just felt like that the drums were kind of low, that the bass and the kick should have been locked in together more and raised up in the mix. The vocal was very loud, and I don't know if it was intended to be used for, you know, radio and records or film and TV. But the vocal for film and TV would probably be too loud. At one point I thought, man, there's a little too much distortion on it. But, you know, when you're into this, like, I don't know, blues rock mode, I hear so many vocals that are equally as distorted, so I certainly can't ding it for that. There was one section fairly early in the song where it went to an up-tempo thing, and it totally took you out of the rest of the song, which in the land of film and TV music would not be a good thing. For radio records, wouldn't matter. I made a note that too much lower mids, it gets muddy. Yeah, it's all about the mix on this one. There's a new single, not all about the bass, all about the mix. It just felt like there were some interesting and good things in it, good components. The arrangement was fine, but the mix just made it just didn't work well because of the mix. And it's really rare that I would say that. You know, it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. It could just be 15 or 20% better. And the mix, I think, would solve a lot of that problem. Tune Up says, I agree, Michael, a lot to work through. Steve Giles, hey Steve, says, listen to Killing Strangers by Marilyn Manson. Yeah, that's a great idea. Anytime that you are finishing up a mix, maybe even before you start the mix, pull out a reference track that sounds like what you're going to work on. We were talking about that on last week's show, and use that to see if your bottom and your top and your mids are about you know, the same place. Work for that overall balance, and so then when you're done, also check it and see if it sounds similar. It was lacking a certain openness or clarity, which I know isn't really something that you would expect to hear in a blues, a hard-edged blues rock track like this, but it just sounded like everything was kind of right there, right in your face and present, and you really had to kind of work to pick out the different instruments. And I kept looking for the drums, and then at times I'd go, oh, there they are. So why is it that sometimes they surfaced, other times they didn't? I don't know, but it's definitely a mixed thing. Jazz Stan says, compare my bottom with someone else's. Oh my. There you go. So thank you folks for submitting those. Always like starting the shows out with some music. Okay, moving on. So did you guys take a vote? Would you rather talk about the Road Rally panels that I'm thinking about? Or would you rather do some open Q&A and play an episode or game of Ask Mikey Anything? So I'm going to go make it a little cooler in here while you guys cast your votes. I'll be right back in like 10 seconds or less. Okay, let's see if those votes are rolling in. Oh, that was Jim Carvalho. I missed it in the chat room. Jim, I'm guessing you outed yourself as the author of that piece. Overall, good work. You know, it's definitely in the ballpark, just needs some tweaking on the mix. Yeah, no guest today. You know what? Well, you guys, well, I know I'm going to talk about both, and yes, we will do like 30 minutes of each. Um, Peter Rahill needs another brew. Everybody's saying both. Well, I'm going to talk about both. I want to know which one you want to go with first. Let's talk about last week, though, and the guest factor. I am often afraid to have guests on the show because people do dopey things after the show. At the beginning of last week's show, I asked everybody, please don't reach out and contact this gentleman. I even made a point during the course of the show to talk about how library owners and people that work at music libraries in general, they're busy pitching and kind of filling orders, if you will, from people who are reaching out to them asking for different types of music for different shows or scenes. And I asked everybody, please don't reach out to this gentleman. He's somebody that I hold in extremely high esteem. And as I mentioned at the beginning of last week's show, so far just this year in 2015, so roughly in the first 6 months, slightly over 6 months, they had 300 placements for Taxi members. And these guys tend to get really good placements, not a whole lot of reality show stuff. Not that reality show placements can't be good on the back end, but these guys tend to get good placements in commercials, in higher end TV shows, feature films. So I said, please, please, please don't reach out. Do you know, by the time that gentleman left Taxi, got back to his office, which I think is probably a 30 or 40-minute drive, he sent me an email as soon as he got back saying, the emails have already started to roll in. And then I got an email from him, I think on Thursday or Friday of last week, saying, I've had millions, and he was exaggerating, said tongue-in-cheek, but he's had millions of people reach out to him because of last week's show. And it just makes me so reluctant to have guests on the show. I want to bring this education to you guys, but I mean, I know people are desperate to get their stuff heard, but first of all, you don't look great when we've actually said on the show, please don't reach out, and you did anyway. And then also, it makes him absolutely reluctant to ever be on the show again. And this guy's got a lot of friends in the industry. Is he going to tell people, oh yeah, don't do Lasco's show because you're going to get bombarded with a million emails afterwards? And, it just makes our members look unprofessional, for lack of a better word, or maybe too... a little needy, maybe. I don't know, but if I hadn't said anything and people reached out, my bad for not saying anything. But I did say something, and people still did it. And it's kind of like, you know what? Screw you, Michael. I don't care. My needs are more important than the needs of everybody else. If I blow a relationship that Taxi has been developing and nurturing for 6 or 7 or 8 years, however long I've known this guy, the fact that they've probably got 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 Taxi member pieces in their library, the fact that they got 300 placements for our members just in the first half this year, that could all, if this guy wasn't somebody that was an understanding friend of mine, it could have easily blown the relationship. It just blown all that out of the water. So please, please, please. I mean, I don't ever want to have another guest on the show if that's what's going to happen. I can't afford to lose these relationships that we work so hard to make and to nurture over time, blown because of the acts. I was going to say the acts of a few, but it wasn't a few. It was a ton of people. And I can easily find out who the offenders were by asking him to forward me the emails. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I guess I could say, here's a refund check, I'm kicking you out. I don't know. But it just totally bummed me out. I couldn't stop thinking about it all weekend long, especially as I was putting together the Road Rally panels. And just thinking, I'm almost afraid. I know, look, part of the Road Rally is that you do get to meet people up close and personal, and sometimes they do give out their email address. But geez, the fact that he already had a bunch of emails by the time he even got home from doing the show, and Amanda saying, were they Taxi members or not? Honestly, until I would look at the list, I wouldn't know, but, I'm sure that some were and some weren't. Anyway, enough said about that. Okay, Moving on, let's start out with the road rally. Okay, it is 4:27. So I will tell you that I've already locked in Jason Bloom, who's a songwriter, who's you've met him a million times at the rally. I always like to have somebody intro me at the top of the rally to kind of, my cheerleading squad, somebody to get the audience stoked before I come and do my welcoming speech. And so this year it's going to be Jason Bloom, and I'm excited about that because Jason's a great speaker and highly motivational, so I'm very excited. I've got a list of 13 people to have as our honoree and our sit-down keynote interview at this year's rally. And one thing that I noticed when I was going through, we always do like a post-mortem of the previous road rally, and I keep notes on all the rallies, and one of the things that kept popping up was Diane Warren, or a person that kept popping up. 2 years ago, Diane Warren was our Lifetime Achievement Award winner, and she got really, really sick, like, 48 hours or less before the rally, and called me up and said, I can't do it. She was that sick. Anyway, she ended up showing up just long enough, and she had the fever and the chills and everything, and she showed up and accepted the award and waved to everybody and gratefully said goodbye and left. So I didn't get to interview her. And I'm kind of leaning toward reaching out to her and say, hey, will you come back this year and let's do the interview. She's a very, very, very smart woman. For those of you who don't know, she may be the single, probably had more cuts as a songwriter than just about anybody I can think of in our time, like in the last 25 years or so. I mean, Diane Warren has had just a million great cuts. Just, huge, huge, huge hits that have ranged from pop to pop R&B to big rock songs. Oh gosh, what was the Aerosmith song? Which was so out of character for her. She's one of the few people I know that can write in almost any genre and pull it off. Anyway, I'm thinking about asking Diane if she would come back and do the interview. We'll see. Do you guys like that idea? I'm waiting for those of you who are watching the show later. I'm watching the chat room right now to see how people are reacting to that. Matt Harvey's doing the lyric from, what was the song called? I don't want to close my eyes, don't want to fall asleep because I miss you, baby. The Aerosmith song. Yeah, she's got 5 Golden Globe and 7 Oscar nominations. I mean, she's the shiz. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess my notes weren't wrong. I don't know. There's just something about her. I mean, she doesn't do that much public speaking. I know she's a little shy. She can be very outspoken, but she's so smart. Her work ethic is just ridiculous. I told this story a couple of years ago when we had her, that one of our employees many, many years ago was best friends with somebody who was a close friend of Diane's. And one Saturday, she invited a bunch of girls, young ladies, over to her house in the Hollywood Hills for a day at the pool. And everybody arrived, and Diane made everybody a margarita or a mojito, gave everybody a towel, some suntan lotion, got them all situated at the pool, and then she disappeared into her writing room at home or her studio and spent the day in there working. I thought I worked ridiculous hours, but she makes me look like I'm a rookie. The woman worked for 12 years, pitching her stuff relentlessly, starting out as a 12-year-old in the business, with people laughing in her face. And just never gave up. And she ended, I would estimate she's worth tens of millions of dollars now, maybe more, all from writing hit songs. So anyway, okay, you guys have convinced me. I'm going to shoot her an email or make a call and see if she would like to join us again this year. After that, I haven't reached out to many of these people. I just finalized the list over the weekend. But I've got a friend whose name I'm not going to mention, somebody that I also think very, very highly of, who has a really cool company that provides a lot of music for advertising. Really kind of cool, cutting-edge indie music mostly, not a lot of library sounding music, more like indie artist, indie band kind of music. But I met this guy not long ago, and we sat down and hung out for an hour or so. And I hold him in incredibly high esteem. He's so smart. Another guy, really hardworking, really knows what he's doing, and he's a giver. We like givers at the Road Rally. We like people that want to send you home with actual with information that you can use, not just, yeah, well, if you're good enough, we'll hear about you. We don't like that crap at the Road Rally. We like people that inspire you and then hand you the wrench and hand you the hammer and hand you the screwdriver and send you on your way knowing what it is you have to do and the tools you need to do it. So I'm going to ask this gentleman to join me for an hour and 15 minutes, sit down, and I'm going to also ask him if he would be kind enough to do a couple of one-to-one personal mentor things after the panel with people. Maybe we'll do a drawing in the audience or something and have some people that get to spend a little time with him. After that, from 12:45 to 2:30, we do the first mentor lunch of the weekend. For those of you who've never been to a road rally, the mentor lunch is like any other large, noisy luncheon. It is unfortunately really noisy, but we take 30 tables, rounds of 10 each, and we put an industry mentor at each one of those tables. They could be a producer, a hit songwriter, a music library owner, a music supervisor, a record label person, somebody who manages acts. I mean, from just about every discipline in the industry. And then every 15 minutes we rotate them around so that you know during the course of your lunch you're going to get like 5 different people sitting at your table. You can talk to them, ask them questions, and we also allow the people who go to the luncheon to give their CDs or thumb drives to the mentors. And a surprising number of people who have handed off something at the luncheons have ended up getting publishing deals and landing placements ultimately. So it's a good thing. I want to say it's like $33, something like that, $33 for the luncheon. Believe it or not, like really good hotel food, better than it's better than the usual kind of like dry, hard chicken breast that you get at a lot of luncheons. We do get good feedback on the food, and you get like an entree and a couple of sides and a salad and bread and iced tea and dessert. So it's well worth it. Adriana says the lunches were fun, such a diverse group in a short amount of time. How many people usually attend the road rally? I've been at trade shows ranging from 200 to 20,000. I think last year the registration number was 2347 or 2437, something like that. And what we see is that like locals tend to show up. I don't know why. It's right in their own backyard, but the locals tend to show up on Saturday. But during the course of the weekend, yes, we have that many. Let's call it 2,437 people that register. They drift in and out. And the cool thing about the road rally is the spirit. And there's almost no way to explain, but it's like one big family. It's not like other conventions where you see these, like leather pants, tattoo, cooler than you are kind of guys hanging out, posing all weekend. The road rally is so incredibly warm and helpful. Inevitably, people who are first-timers and even not first-timers are standing in the registration line and almost without fail end up making friends that they have for life, people that introduce them to other contacts of theirs. The networking, I think, is unparalleled. Martin Vanderboe says, the lunch is super fun, good food, great people, good stories, things to learn. Noisy, though, and you really have to pay attention and focus. Yeah, I think we put little pieces of paper on the plates last year saying, if you're not asking a question, please simmer down so that the other people at the table can hear. But everybody's noisy anyway. Made You Look says, I'll leave my leathers at home. Michelle Lockie says she's going to get just one more tattoo for the rally. Jim Carvalho wore spandex. I don't even want to think about that. completer is in this year. I don't know what that means. Please make the name tags so that you can read them from more than 2 feet away. You mean the actual names on the rally badges? Is that what you're talking about, Paulie? Are you talking about the name tags that go on the table to let you... I don't know exactly what you're talking about. Yo, Jesse's in the house. Hey, Jesse. Welcome to the big show. Okay, moving on. Wasting far too much time on that. Then after lunch, we go into, at 2:45, we're going to do the Music Library Listening Panel, where we get 4, 5, or 6 people from music libraries. We put them up on the stage, and we play music from the people in the audience, and they comment on it, and you would be shocked. Not every year, and we can't guarantee this by any stretch, but some years, just like silly number of things got picked up where people on the panel can raise their hand and go, I'll take one of those, and like 3 other guys go, I'll take a copy of that too, and then we let them arm wrestle to see who actually gets to sign the person. A lot of deals have happened from that panel, and you get a lot of great feedback. And I do intersperse questions about business things or things that I think the audience would want to know. I intersperse in between the listening, so it's educational and fun and creates opportunity. Okay, then we are moving on. This year, I am doing something different than I've done in years past. Many, many years now, or for many years, probably 4, 5, 6 years running, we've done a thing called the Successful Member Panel. It's gone by different names, but last year I kind of got the best of the best, and I put together a panel of taxi all-stars, the people that I think are succeeding, not just from a monetary standpoint, although many of them are, but just really working it and succeeding very, very well, and we called it the Taxi All-Stars. This year I'm doing a panel called Collaboration Nation, and I am going to ask some of the members that I know are collaborating a lot with other members to be on the panel to explain how they collaborate. We have an interview coming up with somebody who did an amazing job on the interview. It's coming up in the August edition of the Taxi Transmitter in the passenger profile section, and that person's response to collaboration really inspired the idea for this panel. It was the first time I'd seen anybody explain the actual mechanics of collaboration. We always talk about that. Collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. Hang out in the forum and meet people and collaborate. Hang out in the chat room on Taxi TV, meet people and collaborate. Go to the road rally, meet people and collaborate. Well, how do you collaborate? So this gentleman inspired me, and don't out yourself because I see you in the chat room, but I would like you to be on that panel because I thought your explanation of how you collaborate was really, really good. We do, at the end of that panel every year now, in memory of our dear departed friend John Brahaney, we do the John Brahaney Songwriting Award. The first year, which was 2 years ago, it went to Paul Otten, who is incredibly well-deserving. This past year, in 2014, it went to Dean Krippain, unbelievably well-deserving. And I've got my person targeted for this year, but I haven't asked the person yet. All I can tell you is it's somebody that is very popular among the members, but it's not a popularity contest. It's about who, is this a person who started from practically zero and has built something really impressive, both on a musical level and a business level. They're just hitting on all cylinders. So I've got somebody picked out, and hopefully that person will say yes. Kind of like asking somebody to prom, except this person would not wear a dress. Definitely not wear a dress. Okay, hit songwriter panel. I don't think I did a hit songwriter panel last year, did I? I don't know. I'm looking. And that was not what you thought it was. That was a piece of paper rubbing up against my computer. Now, last year, instead of doing the hit songwriter panel, I had Tim James and Antonina Armato, also known as Rock Mafia, and I did like an 1.5 hour long interview with them, which was amazing. And that is starting to show up in the Taxi Transmitter, our newsletter, in 3 parts, possibly 4. Um, anyway, this year I am moving Hit Songwriters, at least right now, it's sketched out on paper this way, to 5:15 through 6:30 on Friday, which is the first full day of the road rally. And I am going to invite a lady named Sue Ennis. I met her at the Hawaii Songwriters Festival. She is incredibly cool. She came up to me in Hawaii and said, "Is there any possibility I could come to the road rally?" I said, "Yeah, I think that would be awesome." And she wrote or co-wrote many of the hits that you would know from the band Heart. And she teaches songwriting, and she lives, I believe, in the Seattle area. Anyway, just she's awesome. Gentleman named Richard Harris, who for many years was a Taxi member and used to sit in the audience, and now he's been a signed songwriter for several years with a bunch of cuts. I believe he's signed to Peer Music. Another gentleman that I absolutely adored this year, I had him, I think I had him on a panel at the Hawaii Songwriters Festival, and his name is Hookman. And he's just the coolest guy and has a string of big hooks under his belt. Hookman, what do you expect? Jason Bloom is going to be on the Hit Songwriters panel, and I'm going to reach out to Alan Rich and Judd Friedman. And just Google them and look at their history as songwriters. And also, if Ralph Murphy, who's been on, he's done a presentation at the Road Rally practically every year. I think I've only had him on the Hit Songwriters panel maybe once, years ago. But Ralph's got a bunch of hits in the past, but what makes him more interesting, other than the fact he was VP of ASCAP for many years, is that Ralph is, again, writing and just had a hit song recently. So I'm seeing somebody say hit songwriter Shelley Piken might be available. I just had Shelley on a rally panel in 2013, so a little soon to ask her back again. Polly suggested, I'm seeing in the chat room, what about a panel of taxi screeners talking about the job? Learn about their thinking process and things they recommend to all of us. I'm up for that. I've done that in the past before. It wasn't all that well attended. People tend to go to the panels where they think they've got a better shot at handing somebody a CD with music on it. I think any panel that talks about the process of taxi and how to do it better, how to make more pitches that are going to get through, is a great thing. I would love to do that. Ooh, my bandwidth is low. Warning, bandwidth low. Hopefully I'm still on the air. There it is. It's back again. I hope. I don't know what's up with the bandwidth today. Anyway, I hope I didn't lose you guys. Now I'm afraid to do the rest of the show. It's hard to watch the bandwidth and the chat and myself. Steve Dorff. I know Steve Dorff. Actually met him years ago at a sushi restaurant here in Calabasas, and we became friends. I've had him at the rally before. He's one of the people on my list to be the honoree. An incredible songwriter that's had a million hits and just the nicest guy. So that's a possibility, If I know Diane Warren is working on a Broadway show, if she's not interested or can't be there, Steve Dorff, definitely a possibility. Bluesman says Susan Koch was on a workshop. I soaked up every word as golden. She's one of the screeners. Yes, she is. Susan Koch gives amazing advice. I'm sure we will have her involved at the rally. All right. Then moving on, so then we do a dinner break, and then we have open mics. We have open mics Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night, and the open mics are happening in two different rooms. We have a 200-seat theater. It's kind of like a Hollywood screening room, and open mics take place in there. And then we take a 500-seat ballroom and put tabletops in there, and candles and turn it into kind of a club atmosphere, and we do them in there simultaneously. The open mics are always really popular, really fun, and some amazingly good people get up there and perform. Okay, what do you think about this panel? We've never done this one before. We did one last year called The Business of Music Libraries or something like that. Understanding and Profiting from the Music Library Business was the title of last year's. This year, I'm thinking about doing a panel that is specifically about music library contracts, where you guys can actually get up and ask questions. You can read the clause of a contract and ask the panel for its opinion. I see names popping up. Carole King, I've asked her like 3 times. Dave Grohl, last year I tried reaching out to Dave Grohl to no avail. I wanted to play the movie about, oh gosh, what was it called? The studio movie. Anyway, I wanted to do like a Saturday night showing of that movie with popcorn in the Grand Ballroom, and have Dave Grohl get up and intro the movie, and then have him hang out and talk about it after the fact. Couldn't coordinate that. But that is never out of the question. I love Dave Grohl. Think he's amazing. Anyway, music library contracts. So many people in the industry have no idea what the differences are between a music library contract and a regular publishing contract, like you might sign if you were going to pitch stuff to recording artists, or sign with a publisher like Warner Chappell or Sony Music. We recently had a situation, I think I might have talked about it last week's show, really nice guy, but just got a really bad impression of Taxi because he was offered a deal from a reputable library with international distribution, and he showed it to a couple of music attorneys and a couple of people he happened to know through family connections that were very high up in the music industry, and they went, oh my gosh, I would never do a deal like that. They just don't know what a normal library is, what a music library really is, number one, and what the range of deals are like. So I thought it would be cool if we had a panel of experts and you guys could actually, we'll talk about the deals, the range of deals, and you guys can get up and ask questions about specific clauses that you don't understand, and everybody can fit in. So do you like that idea, or is that a maybe? Give me a +1 if you like that idea and think we should absolutely do it. Give me a -1 if you're on the fence about it. While you're doing that, I'm going to have a sip of Rockstar. Actually, that was more like a chug-a-lug. Paulie, we've done a panel called the 5-Year Plan, Taxi Veterans. They actually do a class. I took the class and put it on the stage either in 2014 or 2013, so we've done that already. Getting mostly +1s, almost all +1s. Okay, so everybody's liking that. People don't want to... somebody, I think Matt Vanderboe said, don't let it get bogged down with questions. Well, you know me, Matt. If you've ever been in the audience at the Road Rally, I hold on to that wireless mic with a death grip, because the minute I let go of that microphone, people just go on and on and on. Hi, my name is Matt. I'm from Idaho. We grow potatoes up here, and I've got a little barn out in my backyard, and I use that as my studio, and inside the studio I've got some gear, and the gear's got wires going to it. Not making fun of you personally, Matt. And people will just go on, and I'm looking at them going, ask the damn question. And the question people get really, really, really upset with me sometimes, and say little things under their breath and send me nasty letters. But yeah, I'm a big fan of keeping the questions far more succinct than I'm being on today's show. So I'm kind of liking that idea, and I think you guys are liking it too. And we could do it as a breakout class, but that means 50 to 100 people will see it instead of 500 to 1,000 people. And I have to look for stuff to put up on that stage that is going to have mass appeal to a wide audience. That's my job. Okay. Then we're bringing back Robin Frederick as we do every year because she is just friggin' amazing. That woman puts in so many hours preparing for her presentation every year at the Road Rally. You can't even imagine. She does so much research and presents so much great information. And I haven't talked to her yet, but last year she did writing film and TV songs that sell. In previous years, she's done just regular songwriting stuff. This year, I'm going to ask her, and I don't know that she'll agree to this or not, but I'm going to ask her to do the difference between writing for records and film and TV, and to play examples of like two acoustic singer-songwriter love songs and how one would work better for film and TV and one would work better for records. Robbie Hancock says, Michael, what about Neil Young? I'd love to listen to the two of you chatting about your studio years. I've often thought about it. Neil's actually been known to be hanging out in my neighborhood, like a mile from my house, like around Thanksgiving of last year. Never mind, just saw something in chat room I won't repeat. Anyway, I would love to get Neil up there. I'd love to personally hang out and reminisce about the time we spent together and talk about his approach to songwriting. He just doesn't give a damn what anybody thinks about what he does. He just does what he does. People either like it or they don't. Doesn't care. I just don't know that what he would have to say has a lot. Is he going to help our members become successful? And I wrestle with that every year. Do I put somebody up there as the honoree where people go, wow, I can't believe we got Neil Young or we got Katy Perry up there? But I hear this about other events where they get somebody big and famous up there, and they don't really give out any information that really helps move the meter much for the people in the audience. That's what makes the Road Rally so special. Everything we do is about sending you guys home to become more successful, not starstruck. So as much as I would love to have Neil up there, and I'm not saying I'll never do it, I'm just not sure where the value is for you guys. And that's what we're always doing. So there you go. Guitar Guru Mike says, my kids love Robin because we're Winnie the Pooh songs. Bobby Borg, we just had him on a panel last year, Jesse. He's great. Yeah, people are now starting to spit out names. Okay, let's get off the rock star suggestions. Yeah, let's finish talking about stuff I've already got. Where did I leave off? Oh, okay. Then we break for another, after the Robin Frederick thing, then we break for another mentor lunch. Then at 2:15 we go into music supervisor, listening, and Q&A panel. Last year I had John Ernst, who's a music supervisor on a bunch of reality shows. Just found out the other day he's been using Taxi member music we've been sending him. Did he tell us? No. Tracy McKnight, big-time music supervisor, who is the vice president of the Guild of Music Supervisors, was on the panel last year. She's an amazing woman, an amazing person, and was very, very gracious and gave out a lot of great information. We had Jean Demery, the music supervisor for Access Hollywood. We had Robert Jordan, who's a music supervisor at Fox Sports in the marketing side. This year, I'm not going to drop names yet. We're thinking about having one person that actually works on a show. I'm not sure if this person is like an executive producer on the show or a music supervisor, but it's a show that runs listings directly with Taxi, and they have used Taxi member music. I'm going to ask another music supervisor woman that I know that has actually screened here and has become a friend over the years, and she was vice president. Who owned Miramax? Two brothers. They owned Miramax. They sold it. The Weinstein brothers. She was VP of music at Weinstein Films, which is a huge company. And she does anything from cool little indie films to TV to feature films. Has a great resume. Another gentleman I know that is currently music supervising 4 or 5 big TV shows, and another woman that I know that music supervises trailers. And no, it's not anybody. We've had a couple of ladies who are music soups on trailers in the past. This is a new person. And the aforementioned gentleman that I'm going to do the advertising panel on, going to try and get him on this panel so we would have a wide range of different styles or needs and have these people listening to your music. Then after that at 3:45, I've got an open slot, but I'm thinking about doing a thing where we've got a music supervisor that works on a lot of TV, and oops, I'm getting distracted by what about the Rescues? They're all Taxi members, fairly successful in a variety of songwriter music, blah, blah, blah. And they all, it's funny. One of the people that I just got an email address for earlier today is somebody I've known from the Rescues for like 10 years, and we haven't spoken in a very long time. But I'm getting distracted. I want to do a panel whereby the music supervisor gives you guys 2 different scenes on video before the road rally, and then you guys make submissions for music that you think works with those scenes, and then we have the music supervisor get up there and play the music against the scenes, and the audience and the music supervisor decide if the music was appropriate for either of the 2 scenes. One would probably be like a scored scene, and the other one would probably be something more like a montage that would be appropriate for singer-songwriter, love song kind of stuff. So do you guys like that idea? Give me +1s if you think that that would be a good use of your time. Whoever asked MW9208, we have tons of stuff for producing and engineering, tons. Breakout classes like crazy. As a matter of fact, anybody who's been to a rally and been to those classes will tell you that alone is worth the trip. What about doing what with members' music? Waddy? All right, people are liking that idea. I hope the other people who are putting on music conventions are watching this episode. People steal our ideas like crazy. I won't mention, but there's another large event that started probably 7 or 8 years after the road rally, and it's funded and put on by like $1 billion company, and they went to the same hotel we used to be at, and it was practically panel for panel, like the same stuff that we did. Then we added the mentor lunch. They added an industry lunch. We added one-to-one mentoring. They added one-to-one mentoring. Not that any of these are patentable ideas, but geez. How about someone from the Eagles? Man, one of my favorite bands. I would love to have Glenn Frey do it. Those guys are just crazy. I think I already checked and they're on tour when we're doing the road rally, so it's a little tough. I can get to them. Used to know them back in the day, but that was also like 30 years ago. Will there be a Genius Bar again? Yes, there will be Genius Bars. We have things called Genius Bars, kind of like the Genius Bar at the Apple Store, but you can walk up and play your music for a genius, and they will help you. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, using members' music for a certain kind of scene to see how well it works. Absolutely. So the Music Soup would give us 2 scenes on video. We'd put them on YouTube or somewhere. Our members would then go watch the scenes, compose music, or have music that they already have in their stash, and then they submit it to Taxi. We'll have Taxi screeners pick out stuff. Maybe we just pull randomly rather than screening it, and we will play it against picture in the ballroom and have the audience vote if it's a good fit or it's not a good fit, and then have the Music Soup comment on why it works or why it doesn't. Paulie says, "What's the draw for having rock stars? I'd rather have like people from music libraries, producers, etc." Yeah, we like I said, any chance of getting Cara DioGuardi back? Yeah, I know her well enough. I can call her up at home. But how long has it been? It's probably been 6 or 7 years since we've had her. I've got to say, I think she's done the rally 3 times, and she's great. She is raising a kid right now, maybe a couple of kids. How about somebody from the Christian gospel industry? We definitely have people from the Christian industry on panels or doing classes every year. Okay, let me get through this, and then we can talk about other ideas. Ralph Murphy does a thing every year. He does, what do you call it? They do statistical analysis of what, how many songs, how long the intros, average intro length on hit songs are. Do they have bridges? All these different ways of analyzing hit songs. And he has a bunch of college kids help him do an actual survey every year. And then he gets up on the stage at the rally and he talks about this stuff. But I want him to distill it down this year. I want to call it the hit prescription. And I know that flies in the face of what so many people think, it's artistry. Don't screw with my artistry. Well, artistry can still take place within a format or a structure. If intros are currently under 30 seconds, go with intros under 30 seconds. If hit songs tend to have a hook in the intro, a hook in the verse, and something, super hooky in the chorus, go with that. Go with as many of the things that other hits have, but make the song your own. It's still your melody, it's your words, it's your rhythm, it's your chord changes. All those things are yours. But, it's kind of like all cars have, most cars have 4 wheels, right? Most cars have a steering wheel. Most cars have windows. So why not make a car that has those things? All right, and that was Saturday. Moving on to Sunday. It's hard keeping up with you guys in the chat room as well as doing this. All right, here's one I want to see how you guys feel about. And I can't read my own writing. Oh, how to become a YouTube star. I know that most of you, at least the folks that I've met, aren't that typical 19-year-old singer-songwriter, sitting on a stool with your acoustic guitar doing covers on YouTube. But there are ways to monetize income. Did I say that correctly? There are ways to monetize music on YouTube. Aside from what I would call micro syncs on YouTube, you know what? If you're a singer-songwriter and you're getting stuff placed in film and TV, and you're putting stuff up on iTunes, and you're putting stuff up on CD Baby, why wouldn't you create a YouTube channel and try and build a following so that you can sell more of that stuff? Plus, we're starting to get more and more music supervisors that are saying, believe it or not, they're saying to us, I want to run a listing, I'm looking for XYZ, I'd prefer to have people that have a following online, have an online presence is the phrase they always use. So a couple months ago, I was with Stephen Memel, who's done amazing artist development stuff and performance stuff on stage at the Road Rally. And he was talking about how he coaches YouTube stars, people who are nobodies that become pretty darn wealthy and tour the country and do these huge concerts, all because they built up a following on YouTube. So I thought, how cool would that be to have Memel get up there and teach a class at 9:30 on Sunday morning, how to become a YouTube star. Is that something that appeals to you guys? Give me +1s on that. Paulie's asking, how about a panel on lyrics? We've got, we've got breakout classes for that stuff. I don't know. You got to think in the ballroom. Is this something that applies to a lot of people? That's always my thing. Wow, Paulie took his son to PAX South video game conference. There are teenagers making over $1 million a year with videos showing other kids how to play Minecraft. Paulie says, sorry for all the suggestions. It's my first time. That's all right. We're used to dealing with with Rally Virgins, Paulie. You're gonna love it. It's gonna blow your mind. Your head's gonna explode. We're gonna have to scrape your brains off the ballroom ceiling. You're gonna love it so much. All right, a lot of plus ones on that one. That's good. Metri Steve says, I don't tour, I'm married. Yeah, but that's the whole point, is that what about if you could create income from doing performance stuff at home where you don't have to go out and tour? It'd be great, if you developed a big following and you could go out and tour. Okay, then moving on to, okay, I'm excited about this one. I can't think of his name. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, geez. Guy who did trailers last year, Nick Murray. Nick Murray happens to be one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. He is a Taxi member, and he's also a very successful trailer composer. And last year, I had him do a panel where it was Nick and a woman who was like senior music supervisor at a trailer company. Her name escapes me at the moment. And they did a panel together, and I was bouncing questions back and forth between the two of them. And at some point, Nick popped up some screenshots, I believe, of his Pro Tools sessions showing how a trailer lays out. Because as many of you know now from being Taxi members, trailers are done in 3 acts. I thought it'd be super cool this year if we had Nick actually compose a trailer. Look, in an hour or 90 minutes, is he going to be able to do a week's worth of work? Not realistically. But is he going to be able to teach you the components and the approach to scoring a trailer and work to video live in front of the ballroom? I think it's going to be great. So if you guys like that idea, please give me some plus ones on that. Jim Carvalho says, Nick Murray is cool. He is. Right. Nick has a tutorial on YouTube about how to do trailers. I just thought it would be cool to do an interactive version of that. Well, I mean, we could just play the video in the ballroom and everybody learn something. But what if he was there actually talking to you guys about why he's making decisions as he's doing it and getting feedback from you guys? Should I do this or do you think I should do that? I think that that would be really cool. All right, so we're liking that. I'm seeing the plus ones come in. Great. All right, this one, I've wanted to do this for years. I want to try and get somebody from one of the banks involved, or maybe somebody from Charles Schwab involved. But I want to do a panel, and tell me if I'm nuts, building your retirement with your music. You guys know that I've been talking about this for years, and we see it from Taxi members that are getting 500, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 cues out there, and their income is going from $500 the first year to $1,200 the next year to $5,000 the year after that to $10,000 the year after that, the 5-year plan, and eventually they get to the point where they're earning really, really good money, some of them over 6 figures. What about somebody who is 34 years old and they make nothing this year? They're just learning the ropes. Next year they make $1,200. And the year after that, maybe $5,000. And they keep building it up. Well, they've got 30 years until they retire. So I would love to get somebody from a financial institution to actually do the math on the big screen. Let's talk to a member or a couple of members about how much their income grew. What was it like in year 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? And then project out their income, based on some sort of multiple over a period of 10, 20, 30 years, and show that if they put that money in some sort of financial instrument, whether it's stocks or bonds or oh gosh, what do they call it? Annuities, whatever, and then see how much that money would be worth when they hit retirement age. And the cool thing is, when they do hit retirement age, come on, who among you is really going to stop making music at 65 years old? Not too many, right? So do you guys like that idea? Give me +1s. And don't be too kind. If you guys think an idea is a stinker, it's not something that you're interested in, let me know. But again, we like to send you home with tools that you can actually use. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily be a banker, Stan. I'm not going to let them get up there. Look, they might end up being a sponsor and having a booth. I'd like that, we do have to pay for those free chairs that you guys sit in. But I'm not going to have them standing up there, talking about their specific bank. I'm going to have them just doing math live on a screen that if you made X amount of money and paid X amount of taxes and saved X amount of your money, and let's take 20% and reinvest it in gear or software or whatever, and you were at this level, that level, another level, that over 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, how could you really build a retirement on that? Or could you not? People are definitely against companies selling products. Let me remind you, without companies that sell products, there would be no road rally, and I'm not going to turn it into, you guys know me well enough to know that I'm not going to turn it into an hour of them sitting up there talking about their bank. I just want to know their investment advice once you've got the money. Or, not even investment advice so much as just running the numbers. I don't know that we have any members that have done the music retirement thing because nobody's been doing it long enough. Metri Steve had to pee. Sorry, I'm still voting. With or without government bailouts. DS Coin, pop songs with vocal backing hooks. Again, that's a class, not a main panel thing. I'm talking about the combination of how to make your music. This is to Russell. He says, I think people come to the Road Rally about music creation, not investment retirement. I was inspired about this. There's a guy I know we had on a panel, I think 3 years ago, named Gooding. And he's doing a thing called the Financial Literacy Tour, which is backed by Bank of America. And rather than him going out and playing clubs to 10, 20, 50, 100 people a night, he books his band, which is just a straight ahead Midwestern rock band that's really, really tight, really good. They get booked at high schools, and they get a massive number of kids in the gymnasium or the auditorium, and they put on a great show. And then afterwards, Gooding himself, the guy's a rock star, he's got crazy hair and the total rock star image, and he's really, really smart. He gets up there and talks about stuff the kids don't graduate high school from anymore. But they don't realize how quickly 65 creeps up. So he does a pitch about saving your money, getting a job, saving your money, and learning how to write a check and balance a checkbook and all that stuff. It's called the Financial Literacy Tour. Google it. And I've got to tell you, I watched one of his presentations, and I was so inspired by that that it gave me the idea for this panel. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be. It's hard to say. I've got to say, it's the first panel today I've spit out that I had mixed reaction. But it's also Sunday morning at 9:30, and I hate to put anything great in the ballroom because it's embarrassing when I put something really good in the ballroom at 9:30 in the morning, and like 150 people show up because everybody was up till 4 o'clock in the morning drinking beer on the rooftop. So I figured this way, if nobody shows up, it's not a disaster. Um, All right. So there you go. So mixed feelings on that one. Um, Richard Charles so wisely says it's not what you make, it's what you save. All right, moving on. Holy crap, I can't believe I've been taking this long in this. Oh, actually, that was a 1045er. All right, so I'm making a note on that one. Okay. I already talked about having Nick do the trailer music. And then the second to last panel of the weekend is a do-it-yourself panel of some form or another. Last year we had Dave Kuhl, who's Director of Artist Relations at Bandzoogle. I believe he might be Senior Director of VP now. Bottom line is we put people up there. It's like the music business panel, how you as DIY artists can make money doing what you love to do. And they talk about anything. In the past we've talked about how to know how much merch to buy, what kind of merch to buy, what kind of merch to sell on the road. We've talked about whether you should have a website or a Facebook page. Does social media really matter? All those kinds of DIY things. So it's really the only kind of businessy panel that we generally do, and that happens from 4 to 5 p.m. on Sunday, November 8th. Robbie Hancock says, yeah, Dave Kuhl just got a promotion. He did. I'm just not sure what his official new title is. And then at the end, we do the happy ending pitch panel, which is obviously meant tongue-in-cheek. And what we do is we get like a music supervisor, a music library owner, a record producer, a songwriter, and an A&R guy. And we try and mix those people up, and we do a panel. It's the last listening panel, the last panel of the whole weekend. The ballroom is always really full for that one, and some years that panel gets downright nutty. Other years, it's not last year, maybe the year before, I found it to be almost a little depressing. The panelists didn't have their usually nutty quality about them. They were all burnt out at the end of the weekend. They were still giving good feedback on the songs, but I like it when it's a little peppier. I think last year we spiced it up. Oh, you know what we did last year? Was rather than pulling stuff out of drop boxes, we had taxi members in the audience run around collecting the CDs from people, and that made it a lot of fun. So there you have it. Okay, now throw some ideas out to me on stuff, and I will write them down on the back of this piece of paper. Yes, the rally this year starts on Thursday evening, November 5th. That's when registration usually opens around 4 or 5 p.m. People start lining up as early as 8 a.m. I would say if you're there by noon or 1, you're fine. It seems ridiculous to spend that much time. People sit on the floor and go get each other drinks and coffees and lunches. I'm always amazed by how early they sign up. I think last year Adriana was first in line, if I remember correctly, which made her easy to spot because I wanted to meet her last year. It's almost worth just being in line at the road rally. It's almost worth getting there just for that. Out-of-towners do arrive on Wednesday evening. And people, Sunday goes to like 5 or 6 p.m. Honestly, plan on flying out Monday morning. I've heard about more deals getting offered and not signed in lobby, but deals happening because relationships are built in the lobby of the hotel after the rally's over. Everybody just goes into woohoo mode. The beers start coming out, and I'm amazed. I mean, they're like, I don't know, 200 or 300 people hanging out in the lobby Sunday night because they know they don't have anything to do till they fly home. And it's amazing how many collaborators meet each other there. How many music supervisors and library owners and stuff will hang out and party with the taxi members after the rally's over. So don't miss Sunday night. I guarantee you, as you're walking out of the hotel Sunday night at 6 or 7 o'clock, you're going to be looking over your shoulder going, damn, I'd wish that I was flying back tomorrow. Yeah, Tune Up says if you want a special mentor, you need to get there early. That's the reason people line up early in the morning. Is we offer free one-to-one mentoring, and it's first come, first serve. So after you go through the regular registration line, then you go to a mentor registration line. The reason we don't sign you up for your mentor in the regular registration line is inevitably people get to the front of the line for the one-to-one mentor registration, and even though we send you the list like a week before the rally and say, go through and pick out your first, second, and third choice, people come to the head of the line, they look at the grid and they go, oh man, I don't know, should I do this person or that person? And then they talk to the taxi staffers, and each person seems to spend 5-10 minutes. And we haven't come up with a better solution. People always suggest, why don't you let us pick our mentors online before we get there? There are a couple of reasons for that. Number one is people change their minds. And number two, we always get last minute phone calls the night before in the morning from the mentors going, I've got a flat tire, my kid is sick and staying home from school, a million reasons. And so all it takes is 3 mentors out of 30 or whatever number we have on that shift to not show up, and it creates havoc for us. So if we pre-registered everybody with their mentors before they even got to town, and then a couple or a few don't show up, chaos on our end. Film and television executive Jeanette Milio. What do you think, Michael? I don't know anything about Jeanette Milio. What does Jeanette Milio do? I could get the unit production manager or executive producer of CSI, I believe. My daughter works on that show, and I've thought about actually doing a thing where we have the executive producer or showrunner sit down with the music supervisor, spot a scene, meaning they watch the scene and discuss what kind of music is going to be used, and then the music supervisor slugs in different pieces of music to see what works. We did something like that 3 years ago with a music soup named John Houlihan, who's now the president of the Guild of Music Supervisors. And it went pretty well, but it wasn't I don't think the audience was as blown away by it as I was hoping. So that's why I haven't done that. Peter, if you booked a room already a month ago, then you're not coming in under the taxi group rate. Also, we have to fill a certain number of rooms or yours truly comes out of pocket. So if you're going to be staying there anyway and you're not part of the taxi group, then we don't get the credit. We don't hit our quota, which we actually do hit our quota every year. But we need to sell, I think, 1,300 room nights in order for me not to personally have to write checks to the Westin. So please book your room and let them know that you're doing it for the Taxi Road Rally. Not that I'm worried about us hitting the quota. I think we went over by a couple hundred people at least the last few years. So, but better to do it than not. Yeah, funny, Robbie says one of the taxi staff, I thought about that as I was in line at a, what's the name of the famous burger place out here that everybody loves? I don't think is that great. In-N-Out Burger. They will go through the line, even when you're in the drive-thru, and take your order, when you're 10 cars out from getting up to the drive-thru. Here's the problem with that, is that we have a big board with people with stickers on there, and we actually pull the stickers off and then put them on your rally badge so that we know that that person's no longer available at that time and the sticker has been applied to a badge. We've thought about doing it online, but then we have 3 people that work that counter. So we would have 3 people trying to access the same screen, and what if 2 people are going for it at the same time? I don't know. We've talked about this, and it was just problematic. So we ended up sticking with the stickers, and it works. The rally rate just became available in the last couple of weeks, I think. It'd be great to have an editor talking about the mechanics of putting music to film and TV. We did that last year. We had, remember we did a panel. See, this is what happens. Everybody hangs out in the bar drinking all day and schmoozing, trying to meet a music soup or a library owner. They miss the panels. But we actually had a thing, it was called... This is what I get for not getting everybody in the ballroom. It breaks my heart when I see 300 people sitting in 1,000 chairs and they're missing incredibly good stuff. Reality show reality. We had John Fulford, who owns a music library. We had Jonathan Weiss, who's a music supervisor on Kardashians and other shows. We had Timothy Hogarth, who's the editor on the Kardashians and other shows. We had Chuck Henry, who's a Taxi member and a composer, and Adam Zelkine, who's a songwriter, composer, and former reality show editor. And we covered all that, but not that many people. Oh, good. Russell was actually in there. So what do you think, Russell? I mean, can I do an hour with just an editor? I think it's a component thereof, not an entire panel. Oh, okay, Peter, good job. Peter told him you're a Taxi member. Apparently they were already honoring the rate. Yay. Yeah, I think it's 123, 125 bucks, and it's around 140 with taxes. Of course, they have, the hotel tax, the state tax, the federal tax, the pillow tax. That's right. Matt Harvey says the spiky-haired dude. That's right. The guy had a mohawk from MTV. What the heck was his name? I like that guy. He was cool. Afraid to mention anybody's name on the show. Everybody's going to... You know what? I'm not going to mention his name. After last week's fiasco, I don't want to give out any more names. All right. Now you can get the taxi rate online. We'll be sending you, when you sign up for the rally, you get a thank you page, like a splash page that says, thanks for signing up for the rally. Here's a link to the hotel. And we'll send out those links numerous times, I'm sure. Okay, another person likes the idea. The editors. One of our longtime screeners is an editor. I think she might be, well, she's not a video editor. She's actually the music editor, I want to say on Homeland. Video editors and music editors. It's funny, a lot of supervisors are starting to get leery of the fact that editors are now slugging in a lot of the music. As I've told you guys before, a regular sized thumb drive can hold a couple thousand songs. A really fat thumb drive with a lot of memory on it could probably hold 5,000 or 10,000 songs, and maybe more. And so the libraries are now giving those drives out, and the drives in the library get approved by the show's producers or the network. And the editors, especially in reality shows, end up slugging in a lot of the music. And they have no real skill set as music people, but they're putting in the music anyway. The Hershey's Kiss on the Pillow tax, yep. John Houlihan did a great bit on being a soup for movies in 2012. Any chances similar, anything similar, something similar to that? Um, we could. I'm trying to come up with fresh stuff. Frankly, I'd love to get John back. He's a friend of mine, and he always likes doing the road rally. But I've had him on 3 or 4 out of the last 4 or 5 years. Looking for more ideas. Okay, now we're stuck on Starbucks in the rooms. You guys crack me up. Yeah, Matt's right. When John Houlihan did it, it was for the movie Looper. We actually had a taxi member, Ellen Vanderslice, got her music through us to him for that film, and it was in the diner scene, I believe. You'll be able to sign up for the rally in another day or two. Will there be a songwriter seminar? Yes. There will be tons of songwriting breakout sessions. Plus, just in case you weren't here when I talked about it, I'm going to do a hit songwriters panel tentatively scheduled for Friday at 5:15 p.m. with Jason Bloom, Alan Rich, and Judd Friedman, Richard Harris, Hookman, Ralph Murphy, and Sue Ennis. What happens in a professional co-writing session, please? A class on EDM. A co-write class. How many of you guys want a class on how to co-write? We're already talking about doing a panel, collaboration panel, but that's going to be mostly people who are working long distance down a wire versus like the Nashville method of going in a room. Hey, Shell, congratulations. Michelle Lockie says, speaking of taxi success, can you send us an email about that? Because it's going to scroll off the page here in a minute. Just found out I got a placement on CBS's Inside the PGA for my song Masquerade, co-written with Paul Otten. Taxi Works. Yay. That may be our first golf placement ever. We could certainly do a breakout class on women in the industry. Everybody's gotten so politically correct lately. I'm not even going to say it. We won't even touch it. Never mind. Women in the industry. I think C.K. Barlow, who's a very wonderful and successful member. Michelle Lockie, those would be two good people to teach that class. Okay, got that note. All right, anything else? We didn't get to the Q&A part of the show because we're now an hour and 36 minutes into the show and we're still talking Road Rally. What about a City of Music type panel? For example, industry folks from Nashville, LA, Europe, Australia, talking about different needs and aspects of the business in their areas. I don't know. I mean, Nashville definitely is. I guess you could say that they all have different needs. I don't know if there's a whole class or a panel in there, though. Amanda says, I'll need to do one for men in the industry, too. You know, seriously, talk about, I don't want to be politically incorrect. A breakout, whether or not to establish your own publishing company, that's a question within a class, Polly. I mean, that's a 5-minute answer. Alan Parsons is actually on the list. How many people would be interested in having Alan Parsons as a keynote one year? Peter Rahill says a golf cue. Would that be foreplay? Love it. Rob Green says, sounds like it's going to be a good time. It's an amazing time. It really is. I'm not just telling you that because I own Taxi, but the weekend, you can't describe it. People float out of there, though. All right. All right, you guys, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for your input. We'll have to do the Ask Michael Anything on another show. By the way, I'm going to try and book Judy Stakey, who has been on the show before, and she just came out with the Songwriter Survival Guide, just hit the streets like a week ago. So I'm going to see if I can get her on the show next Monday or the Monday after that. Yes, we have, Paulie, we have technology breakouts. I will send you guys a list of all the classes we did last year. How's that? There you go. Ooh, Cheryl Blackman. We haven't had him on a panel in probably 5 years. Taxi golf tournament. Much as I would love to because I play golf, just no time to pull that off. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching the show today. Thanks for your input. We'll see you next week for another exciting episode of Taxi TV Live. Bye, you guys.